All right, I'm live. Okay, that's not good. I'm gonna see if I can hook up my. Hold on. Okay, I just muted myself. Hopefully this works well. All right, and hopefully somebody actually watches. Of course, I want someone to actually watch it. What a dumb fucking thing to say. All right, hi internet. Thank you for joining me tonight and taking a break from your unhealthy masturbatory cycle to watch me and obviously masturbate even more after seeing my beautiful face on screen for just merely seconds. That's definitely happening right now. Anyway, what I want to talk about is something important that, okay, why am I even saying it's important? I'm the most redundant motherfucker on the planet. First I say, I hope people watch, no shit. Then I say, I want to talk about something important. Of course I think it's important. See, this is the problem from lack of sleep, and like adulthood. Like I have so much shit going on in my brain just from today's work, that I can't even keep my thoughts straight barely. But anyway, all that I said to get to this. The point of tonight's live stream is to talk about when to walk away from discussions and when to know you're in the right. If you're trying to debate something political or something that has an impact on society, obviously people are going to get flared up. And when people attack you, it's easy to retreat and think that you're in the wrong and think that, oh man, like obviously this person's passionate, so they must know more than I do. And that might be the case. I'm not saying that I know how to deal with every situation, but I think commonly people like to kind of project their ignorance onto other people, obviously. And one way and one phrase in which they do that with is the phrase, maybe you should talk to. Now, I want you guys to look out for this. All right. Like if you're ever having like a political discussion at like next Thanksgiving dinner, or in the classroom or anything like that, look out for that phrase. Again, it's maybe you should talk to. And what do I mean by maybe you should talk to? Well, a lot of times, if you're talking about something that affects a certain group of people that are disenfranchised, whether if you're on the left and you're talking about women or people of a certain race or immigrants, or on the right, if you're talking about policemen or people who've served in the military or politicians with a certain religious background who are Christian, sometimes you'll hear the phrase, maybe you should talk to. Well, you would trust Mr. Bush if you just maybe if you just spoke to a good, decent Christian and about George Bush, you definitely support his war plan. Or on the left, it's like maybe if you talk to someone who's an illegal immigrant living in this country, you would support open borders. And what I hate about that phrase is that what that says is that person's opinion is completely formed by anecdotal evidence. It's completely formed by what other people say. So if someone says maybe you should talk to, all right, what you should say back is maybe they should read a book or Google the topic and actually learn information from objective sources than talking to people who very clearly have a bias towards the topic. And I'm not saying don't talk to people at all, but anybody who says that phrase, maybe you should talk to, what that implies is that you shouldn't be talking to that person. It's a waste of your time. Like that person is already saying that they have nothing to give you, that you should go talk to someone else. And that's when to walk away. And that's when to know you're in the right too. And that brings me to my next topic for tonight's stream. That's Dan Crenshaw. And for those of you who have the fortune of not knowing who Dan Crenshaw is, he's a congressman from Texas. And he's basically a John McCain 3.0. He was a Navy SEAL. He might have done some venerable things in the Navy SEALs and did some brave things in the Navy SEALs. But he's used that popularity that he has from his service record to get into Congress and support unsustainable, indefinite wars in the Middle East for a certain country, for the protection of a certain country who I can't even name because of certain restrictions on YouTube and certain laws in our country right now. Laws that Dan Crenshaw supports. He says if you criticize this certain country, that they have the right to decide whether or not you can employ people. They have the right to actually legally prosecute against you. Yeah, it's anti-Semitism laws. And I think that that's massively hypocritical. Someone who like roasts the politically correct left all the time for being anti-free speech that supports anti-Semitism laws is obviously a giant hypocrite. And that's one of the main reasons I don't respect Dan Crenshaw. If one, you come back from the war and use your service record as a cloak to not hold up the principles of freedom of speech that our soldiers die for and sacrifice their lives for, okay, that's the same thing. I'm a fucking idiot. But and yeah, and you don't support absolute freedom of speech, you're a hypocrite. The fact that, and again, I know I'm not going to source this video. I know I'm a random guy watching on the internet, and I just want to say full out, yeah, go do your own research. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to what I say. Absolutely question every word out of my mouth. I want to be called on my bullshit. I want to be called an idiot. I want to create a dialogue so I can prove how much smarter I am than most people. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, like I know I'm saying a lot of stuff. I'm throwing a lot of shit at you. I'm speaking kind of for Dan Crenshaw. I actually I don't think that that's a fair assessment. But basically, yeah, do your own research. Now, yeah, he supports these laws. He supports these anti-Semitism laws that say that you can't criticize the state of Israel. Yet he claims he's on PC and claims that he supports freedom of speech. And yeah, obviously that's one reason I don't respect him. And then the main reason is like he absolutely, at every chance he's been in office, supported more military action in the Middle East and has gone on record saying that Israel, deserves like all this money and all the support. And if you question that, you're anti-American, And I don't think, by the way, this doesn't apply just to Israel. I think to most military aid that we give, we need to cut way back on. And this is something that the right needs to admit in this country. Like if you want to prevent the election of a Bernie Sanders or another far left candidate, and I'm not saying that would be a President Sanders would be bad, but if you want to prevent that, I think you have to create a more honest dialogue on the topic of war. And when it comes to war in the Middle East, like our support of Israel, how much money we give them, in spite of the fact that they spy on us, in spite of the fact that they do things to other countries that we wouldn't tolerate from any other country, we would at the very least put sanctions on them. And I guess I kind of want to rectify what I just said a little bit. Like, even what they do to other countries, I can understand someone rationalizing that because they live in a war-torn part of the world. But what about the fact that they spy on us? Then again, do your own research. That's a fact. Like, they spy on us. Like, why if it was proof that Putin did that, would we give them any foreign aid? If it was proof that China did that, would that even be grounds to start a war? Like, why do we take that from Israel? And why do we, and not only that, like, why do we give them so much money if that's the case? That's a legitimate question to ask. And I'm not saying that you can't answer it in the affirmative, saying that Israel deserves foreign aid, that there's not a more complex argument to be made in that regard. I understand it's a war that's been going on a long time. It's not an easy subject to talk about. There's a lot of different facets to it. But you know who doesn't support that is Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw doesn't support that dialogue. He thinks that if you support a different viewpoint than his, you don't even have a place at the table. And that makes him a huge hypocrite. And two, the main reason I fucking despise him is, and not just him, but like the caricature he's playing that goes back to the beginning of American politics. Like John McCain. Like, okay, I understand John McCain like spent some years in a bamboo hut and got tortured. But when John McCain came back, what did John McCain do? John McCain supported every chance to go to war that he had. And even if not, even if he didn't, like I could be wrong on that. I'm not familiar with his entire record. He certainly supported it when he ran for president. And that's not laudable. That's not cool. And I want to talk more about the idea of war, because I'm not anti-war. I understand that we don't live in a black and white world. I understand that there are bad people out there, and I understand that we have a very powerful military, and I think that for the most part, that's a good thing. I'm glad that we're very powerful. But, oh man, I'm getting repetitive, dude. I guess I just want to say, like, the Republican Party and people like Dan Crenshaw and people like the ones who attacked me today when I attacked Dan Crenshaw and Joe Rogan, kind of need to assess, like, not necessarily if they're anti-war or pro-war, but what kind of war they're supporting for America right now. That's my main point there. Hopefully that was mainly coherent. Number two, I want to talk a little bit about Joe Rogan, aka Joe Rogan, aka the fucking human thumb. I'm kind of a fan of his. He has some cool people on his podcast. But when I think about the fact that he had Dan Crenshaw on, like, it just made me think about how I think that there's such a thing as like being too open-minded. Like, and I think this is actually like a downside to doing psychedelics, like lots of psychedelics. I think that open-mindedness is overrated. I think that having convictions is more important. And I'm not saying that Joe Rogan's a man without convictions, but hold on. Oh my God, my throat hurts. Fuck me. I'm sorry, guys. I just spaced out a little bit. What was I talking about? Okay, Joe Rogan, openness. Okay, I got it. See, I think that there's such a thing as being too open. Like when it comes to Joe Rogan, like I love the fact that he puts everybody on his podcast. He likes to hear from different points of view, and he also when he doesn't debate them, right? I kind of understand that as well. Like deferring to the fact that you don't have the expertise on a certain topic, and like just like letting your guest talk. I kind of get that to a certain extent, but you shouldn't have a Dan Crenshaw on. I draw the line at a Dan Crenshaw. Especially if he's the kind of person who's going to be duplicitous and go on there and talk about his service record and then be a complete hypocrite for every reason I just mentioned. I haven't even listened to the interview yet, but I know that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to dance around any hard questions if Joe even bothers to ask him, And don't be too open-minded. My point there is that having those people on the show is cool, like hearing them out is cool, but you should also challenge them, especially, again, if you're a warmongering shill, like Dan Crenshaw. And let's see, how long have I ranted for now? 12 minutes. All right, I'm not doing too bad. Let's see. I've got an article here from Drudge, and I've got an article from Salon, or excuse me, Huffington Post, and because I kind of want to show different perspectives, and I guess like this isn't necessarily going to be what I'm going to do with this segment tonight, but in the future, what I kind of want to do is not show how like we're all like the same, man, and like and all that bullshit, and we should all get along, but like I want to show like an example of a left-wing website and a right-wing website, just to kind of give perspective and maybe kind of show that like not that we're all the same in terms of what we believe, but just kind of like it's the same sort of people that are in the media. I don't want to open people's minds up to agreeing with everything they hear, like being like a Rogan, but I do want to open people's minds up to the understanding that like your beliefs become much better formed once you hear other people's opinions. And I guess what I want to do is just show an example from a website that maybe someone on the left hates or maybe someone on the right hates, and saying like, hey, actually these websites have more to offer than spewing pro-American or anti-American propaganda. And hopefully open people's minds up to just going to more places and diversifying their like palette when it comes to news. So, okay, this is from the right-wing website, Drudge. And I'm not actually specifically talking about anything political, I guess, but it's about a pink moon. And I guess like back in the day, like the Mayan days or whatever, that a pink moon was actually a sign of an end of days, an omen, a rebirth, an increased seismic activity as well. And here's what it said: it's the rare result of several phenomena recurring at once. So it says it turns into a pink-orange hue when it is low in the sky because bluer wavelengths are filtered out by the Earth's atmosphere. And okay, I'll be honest, I have no idea what that just fucking said. But and then it also said that like it let's see, I want to get into the mythology of it. Hold on. Other cultures, okay. So ancient beliefs about the pink moon. Like according to Native Americans, it was a signification of rebirth and renewal, and it flags brighter times are ahead following the cold, dark months of the winter. It's also a sign that life goes through cycles, according to the Native Americans. Bright flowers may die, but they always come back again each year. According to spiritualist Cherokee Billy, the pink moon brings the stability and security to crystallize recent changes and make them permanent improvements. Other cultures view the pink moon differently. The Hebrew lunar calendar, the months change when the new moon. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Like, oh, and then I guess it's also mentioned in Hinduism. Like, and just kind of like just to give perspective, like, huh. It's kind of weird. Like different cultures sort of view the pink moon as like a rebirth, and then some cultures view it as a different thing. And I'm kind of too tired. Like, oh, according to like the Jews to Israel, it's the moon becoming large is as the sun is an injustice to God. What the fuck does that mean? Oh, but it signifies the end of days. And yeah, according to Israel, the end of days are coming. Yeah, that's good. The country we give all the money to, the post-apocalyptic, believe have post-apocalyptic ideologies, and I'm really tired. Okay, let's see here. The other inspirational story I want to do is this lady. This is from Huffington Post. This is my left-wing one. She, her name is Sarah, or what? No, her name is Diane Barrett, and she got coronavirus. And just a little bit about what she said about that. Let's see. Like she basically said, "Hold on a second, motherfucker." It feels like a lifetime ago, but it was only 3 weeks ago. Said Barron, who lives in Nassau County. Schools and businesses were still open at that point. I had just recently photographed an event at a local elementary school in a gymnasium that was packed with children and their families moving around in close corridors. I was terrified that I had infected people along the way without knowing. I was desperate to get tested, not because I need to know for my personal education. But at that point, I felt a moral and civic duty to warn my community, and I couldn't report it to the school district unless I had a positive diagnosis. I was hell-bent on getting a test for reporting. So basically, what this lady did after she got, I guess, healed, for lack of a better term, from the coronavirus, she started a group called the Survivor Corps, and it currently has over 20,000 members. And what it's doing is, let's see, basically, like, I mean, they're looking for like all like this hospital in New York and different medical institutions are looking for volunteer survivors to donate their blood and plasma, and that's what they're doing. So they're actually taking what they went through and like furthering the scientific search for a cure by donating their platelets and letting people test on them. So yeah, no, way to go, Mary Barrett. Cool shit about the pink moon. What am I at? Oh, come on. 19 minutes. All right, that's enough. I guess, is it? No, I made an oath to myself that I was going to do 22 minutes. Is someone really watching right now? Is it just me? Like, when it's just me, like ranting into a camera, is that just, yeah, okay. I'm like, no, it went down to 0. So yeah, please stay with me, one guy who's watching. I guess the other part of my title was, is Dan Crenshaw gay? Is he a deeply closeted homosexual? And it doesn't really matter if he is or not, but I mean, my gaydar is pretty strong on that guy. He, the eye patch thing, I feel like it's kind of effeminate. You know what I'm saying? It kind of reminds me of like a gay guy who like projects masculinity in public, but in private is like a total twink. So that's probably Dan Crenshaw. I'm just speculating, of course. It's all speculation. Um, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. Fuck this. Hey, thanks for watching, dude.